Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
So this is the Fear Not Do Right podcast and the official Fear Not Do Right take of Barbenheimer, particularly Barbie, because that seems to be quite the hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
I am joined today by my lovely wife, who just got her name officially changed,
Mrs. Lamb.
McKenna Lamb.
Hello, hello.
Some would say that you bring the Kenergy.
I do. People call me Ken.
You're Knuff.
I'm Knuff, but I'm blonde like Barbie, so it's a conundrum.
A Ken-nundrum.
Yes.
So why are we talking about the Barbie movie today, Ken?
It's a hot topic. There's a lot of mixed feelings about it. People want to know what we think about it since we posted a picture about it.
Well, we went all out for Barbenheimer weekend.
We did. We were going to go bigger. I was going to wear a quinceañera dress. I'm not sure what you were going to wear. You were going to wear your army.
Well, everyone knows that Barbie really likes G.I. Joe over Ken, and it had the potential to be a good opportunity to bust out some of the old multicams, some of the M8 Woodland God's plaid, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided to go as Barbie and Ken, and it was actually uncanny how spot on.
You nailed it.
You nailed it.
Like, the picture was cute and all of us, but it was really about you, just like the movie.
It wasn't even about me.
Margot Robbie's beautiful and all, but it was all about Ken.
If you say so.
That's all that anyone's talking about.
So it's been really ridiculous how much people are talking about it. Like, Ben Shapiro commented for the actual duration of the actual runtime of the movie. He has commentary on this movie.
He's very passionate about it too.
It's very silly.
Well, not only him, but the rest of the Daily Wire crew talked about it. Brett Cooper, I think Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, all of them.
You know why Ben Shapiro's so mad about it?
Why?
Because he's not Ken. He's just Ben.
Stop it.
What? Don't make you laugh on the mic?
You're getting really good at your dad jokes.
It's true. It's true. But I'm not a dad yet. Well, I am.
What? You are a dad.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. So let's get into this whole Barbie controversy. Just start from the top. What was your take of the movie?
I thought it was hilarious. I kind of loved it. But I think I found it way more funny than it was intended to be. I think the feminist side of it was hilarious to me, but I don't think it was really intended by Greta Gerwig. I don't know, though. She's a comedian, so it's hard to say, but I thought it was funny. I do think if you take it just as it is, as a funny movie, it was a relief, a 90-minute release, as you say. But as a Barbie movie intended for kids, I think they could have taken it a way different way, and it could have been way more wholesome and cute, but they decided to be edgy.
Well, everyone knows that the real Barbie movie is Barbie and the Nutcracker.
I know the OG Barbie movies are way better.
I mean, I've only seen Barbie and the Nutcracker, but that's the real Barbie movie.
Yeah, she's inspiring.
I thought it was funny how everything that they meant to be like serious was funny, and everything they meant to be funny was cringe.
Right. I think that they intended Ken to be this Giga Chad, and they wanted to make him out to be like this horrible toxic masculinity figure.
Like a hyperinflated
yeah.
caricature of what masculinity is supposed to be.
But it really backfired because I feel like it really riled up the men who went and saw it. They loved Ken. I loved Ken. He was hilarious.
First of all, Ryan Gosling stole the show.
Yeah.
Wholesale. Like soup to nuts, stole the show.
Mm-hmm.
Margot Robbie was in it.
She's beautiful in it.
But it was all about Ken.
Yes.
And here's the other thing is, and this kind of gets touched on in the movie, but everyone, there's this association with with the looks and figure of a gal like Margot Robbie being this unattainable goddess, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about Ryan Gosling in that movie. Dude was like 4% body fat.
Well, I think that's the point. I think they're supposed to be dolls, and I think one of their main points of why Barbie was kind of seen as an enemy in the real world is because she has this unattainable life and figure and standard of beauty that every girl kind of wishes she has. So they try to portray that, so they picked the most beautiful actress to do it. I think that was on purpose.
Why did they pick you?
Oh, that's sweet.
So where did this start falling apart for you? Like, you know, we open the movie, it's like, oh my gosh, we're watching the Barbie movie. And then we walk out of the theaters. And at some point along the way, we laughed. And I think you cried at one point. I cringed.
I did cry
and
in the Barbie movie.
There was a lot. I mean, it was a roller coaster. Not necessarily an enjoyable roller coaster, but it was a roller coaster through the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Through the whole movie.
It was. It was very original. It was the most chaotic movie I've ever seen. It was really funny, but probably in all the wrong ways. Yeah, I think that the ending, they really could have wrapped it all up in the end and made Barbie and Ken equals and have respect for each other, but they just kind of decided that everyone would be happier if they just were separated and on their own. And that was kind of a sad ending.
Well, it made no sense, but it kind of followed suit with the rest of the movie, which also made no sense.
Well, I think with the girl fan base, I think they kind of wanted a love story. They wanted them to work out, but that never happened.
Well, it's because G.I. Joe wasn't there.
It's true.
It was so overall, there was, if you haven't seen the movie, you're not missing out much. If you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. I feel like they really took that America Ferrera speech where all the moms were like, yes, queen, like you're preaching to the choir here.
Well, I think there was some truth to what she was saying. Like,
sure.
It is hard having this unattainable beauty standard and expectations of you as a woman, but I felt like they really missed an opportunity to make this not about women being the victim and could have made it a more empowering movie.
The entire movie was women being the victim. That was what was funny. There's like, we would have Barbie be this icon and symbol of president and Supreme Court justice and construction worker, and at every single level, on every single beat, Barbie is like, it's just falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily for me, it was funny to watch it fall apart. But I mean, you hope to see more. You hope to see them like get a full idea put together and executed on screen, which at no point happens.
No.
So essentially, America Ferrera, she has that speech, which is way too long, and goes from being like... It was
a little long. It was kind of cringy because it was so long.
It went from being like, okay, to, okay, this is cringe. I'm tuned out. I'm out. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Checked out. Bring Ryan Gosling back. Where's Ken?
Mm-hmm.
So they have this speech about feminism, and then they were like, okay, how do we make a movie about this? How do we make a movie surrounding that speech and have Barbie included?
Yeah, they kind of made that the moral of the story, and it just made no sense. Just that women, it's impossible to be a woman in the world. And, you know, as a feminist, you think you would try and make the message that women can do anything. And I guess they tried that, but they made it seem like women are so oppressed and they can't do anything in the real world. You know?
Tragic.
It's just, what can't a woman do these days, you know?
Well, beyond just victimizing women, it was very, from my perspective, it was extremely anti-family.
Yeah.
Extremely anti-family. because you have like the beginning sequence is
Which
like,
we missed. We walked in late, but we saw clips.
Yeah, whatever.
They smashed the baby dolls.
They smashed the baby dolls.
Mm-hmm.
They smashed the baby dolls. I mean, we've seen it, but they smashed the baby dolls. Barbie's introduced to these little girls, and then that's kind of the correlation. Like, hey, the time of the maternal child care vibe mindset is over. The age of the empowered 29-year-old with anxiety has dawned.
I know, like, what kind of, if it is geared towards women, which I really didn't think it was, but everyone brought their children to the theater, what kind of message is that sending that to your daughter? Like, your mom hates you, and you should hate babies too. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, they're complaining about the whole time, like, women are this, women are that, women can't do this, women can't do that. Oh, it's so hard to be Barbie, and it's so hard to be Barbie, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, let's find because the whole thing too, when the show's really about Ken, and then you would expect them to kind of meet in the middle, where it's like, hey, Ken goes from the second-class citizen where he's just Ken, and then Barbie goes to the real world where she realizes, like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to be
She's just Barbie.
a woman. And then they meet in the middle and they're like, hey, let's treat each other with respect. Let's build each other up. We need each other to make it happen. But they don't do that.
No, and it's kind of a sad ending because, man is not meant to be alone. And I think that together is what God intended us to be for eternal happiness. And so by advocating for us to separate and hate men and hate women, it's just sad because all of those teenagers are going to take that message for what it is and think that men are the enemy, which they really aren't.
It's true. We're not the enemy. So essentially,
but neither are women. But here's the thing about the Barbie movie, is I went into it not thinking it was geared towards children at all. I thought it was going to be a comedy, which it clearly was, and it was satire the entire time. So I didn't take it seriously at all. So I think people are taking it way too seriously.
I think they tried to package it as being satire the entire time, but they really did have like agendas like that. Whole hey, we need to, like, women are essentially, men and women can't coexist, and the family is yesteryear, family's out.
Right.
Disregard the family.
Right.
Anti-family, and that's just not right.
Well, I did appreciate the theme of self-worth and really coming into yourself like Ken does in the movie. He really resonates with the patriarchy, and he finds a brotherhood in it, and he thrives in the patriarchy. And the one thing that he wants is to have a woman, and the woman says nope.
Yeah, that kind of that rustled my jimmies a little bit, because you have like you said, this whole, like, they as weak as they are, there are some character arcs between mostly Ken, somewhat Barbie, and Barbie and Ken, they go to the real world. They're like, Barbie goes from Barbie land, where she's the queen, she's the Barbie, she's the Barbie.
She's just stereotypical Barbie, but
she is
everyone's
the Barbie.
kind of,
and then
likes
Ken goes from being a second-class citizen, and it's like, hey, what's your job? I beach. Like, what do you do on the beach? No, it's just beach. Beach Ken goes to the real world, and he discovers horses and cowboys and trucks and books and watches and the patriarchy. And he's like, oh yeah, this is it, man. This is awesome.
Well, not only does he find resources for that, but he finds people who listen to him when he talks and ask him for their time and just respect him as a human being. Like,
it's not even like an absurd amount of respect either.
Yeah, just bare minimum.
The merit of respect that he gets is a random woman says, excuse me, sir, do you have the time?
Yeah, like a stranger just asking you for a favor. Like, that's so sad.
How down bad do you have to be to like have that? And you know what's tragic though is that a lot of guys are actually like that.
Yeah.
So this is real. This is from back years ago when I was a lonely private in the Army. I think it was a private. I was in the Army, living in the barracks. I was surrounded by dudes all day, but it was like the unhappy kind where we were in the Army and I was, everyone's always getting yelled at, and when you're a private in the Army, you're a second class citizen, very similar to Ken in Barbie Land. And I remember there was a girl at the bar. I was out with my buddies at this bar, and this girl, she was wasted, like just wasted. She was, she wasn't the kind of girl that guys were like competing to take home, but she came up to me and she was just like, "You are such a beautiful man." And I'm like, for whatever reason, that just resonated with my soul.
She's right.
4 years later, I still am just like, I remember one time this unattractive drunk girl at a bar said I was a beautiful man. Like, I still remember that. Like for whatever reason, that it's like carved itself into my, just because dudes are so like, yeah, it's a picture or whatever. But like when it comes to actually like receiving respect and receiving like any sort of compliments, any sort of affirmations like that, non-existent. And so you see that with Ken where he's like, okay, I see this patriarchy thing and I have validation now from it where it's like, hey, like, you're a man. Can I have the time? Sir? Oh my gosh. I'm going to go buy a watch. And so Ken's walking around the rest of the movie. He's got watches on. He's got that mink coat.
He just wants to be helpful.
And in this development that Ken has, he wants a woman. He sees
not as property either. He just wants to share.
He wants to be with
a life
with Barbie.
Someone.
He just wants to be with her.
Yeah, but
he wants
every
to
night's
have
girls' night.
A Ken and Barbie Mojo Dojo Casa house.
Yeah,
dude, she really does treat him like crap, though.
Well, none of the Kens even have houses in Barbie Land. Like, what is that?
What do they do at night?
I know, sleep on the beach, I guess.
They beach
all day, every day.
And they play Push by Matchbox 20.
Which is literally you.
Kind of.
You play guitar at me all the time.
Can I play guitar at you? I just put new strings on my guitar. Can I play guitar at you? Play some Matchbox 20.
And you're very talented.
So Ken had this amazing glow up. And, Barbie kind of has this whole, I'm going to call it a hero's journey. It's certainly a journey, though, where she's, Barbie in the Barbie land.
Yeah. Instead of finding purpose, though, all she can think about is death. Like, that's a dark movie. And they don't even, in the end, they don't really tie it up with a bigger, higher power at all.
No.
They just, I'm going to die.
Like the plot, if you haven't seen the movie, whatever, the plot made absolutely zero sense. And so I'm not trying to take anything away from the plot. The storytelling capabilities of these people is zero.
Yeah. Well, it's sad because Ken spent so much time finding his purpose and knowing that his purpose was to be, he was literally made as a doll for Barbie.
Right.
They are meant to be together. But Barbie, her whole experience was about, an existential crisis. Anxieties. She found no purpose whatsoever.
Anxiety Barbie.
At the end of the movie, they end up in a white room, and Billie Eilish is playing the song.
Old William. William Eyelash.
No, Billie Eilish.
That's what I said.
Billie Eilish sings her song "What Was I Made For," and she has no idea what her purpose is in life, except she doesn't want to live in the matriarchy anymore. She just wants to go back to the patriarchy in the real world.
That's the silliest point of this whole movie too. Is it's like the Barbies have this dreamland,
Mm-hmm.
Barbie dreamland.
They lose it.
Barbies rule everything, and within 2 seconds of Ken coming back to the Barbie land with the patriarchy in hand, with a book about horses, upsets the whole thing. Seizes power.
I know. If Barbies were really that strong and capable, why did Barbie Land crumble?
Maximum Kenergy. Oh yeah. That's the silliest thing. But here's the kicker though. Everyone loves it. All the Barbies in Barbie Land love it. They're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is way better than like being president. Forget it. I don't want to be president. I love not being president. He can be president. Like everyone, the way they portray it, everyone is significantly more fulfilled under the Kendom and the patriarchy than Barbie Land's female Fright Night.
Yeah. The Barbies seem totally fine with what's happening. And I guess that's part of, I think Margot Robbie had a speech saying, you're either ugly, and I can't remember the exact phrase.
You're either brainwashed or you're
ugly and weird.
Ugly and weird.
There's no in between.
How did I brainwash you?
I think I came that way.
Can you give us a play-by-play of how you became brainwashed?
I'm a firm believer in the patriarchy, I guess.
Your trad wife Barbie.
Trad wife Barbie.
Can that be your Barbie?
That's the Barbie I aspire to.
Your trad wife Barbie. Is that the
She can wear that blue dress with the flowers on it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trad wife Barbie.
Love it.
That can be your new Instagram
Just like
handle.
the pregnant Barbie Midge.
Midge?
Midge.
Is that short for midget?
No, I don't think she's a midget. She's just pregnant. I think they just try to give her a name that is a little off-putting.
Midge.
Because, yeah, they hate moms and pregnancies.
They really do. And that's the other thing, too, is like you have this whole...
But it's a mother-daughter relationship story, so I'm so confused.
It's a mother-daughter relationship story with America Ferrera and her daughter, who I don't think is named at all in the movie. What's her name?
Sophie? I don't know.
You have even America Ferrera's character. What's her name? I know Alan's name. Michael Cera. Alan. I know Ken. I know Barbie.
Right. I'm sure they say it somewhere, but it's probably not memorable.
And apparently it wasn't important.
Yeah.
So it has this mother-daughter relationship, and then it's... I can't even describe it. It's like they hate Barbie. The daughter hates Barbie. The mom loves Barbie. And then by the end, they're like, I guess Barbie's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And their dad is like, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
I know. His part is kind of throwaway.
Why do you think the media does that? Because it's not just Barbie. If you look at the most... This is somewhat of an oxymoron, but the most dominant depictions of men in the family in a family unit, they're retards. Every one of them, like Homer Simpson, Family Guy. What's another one? Even like Modern Family, like Phil Dunphy, like they're buffoons.
They're just goofy dads.
There's a difference between being a goofy dad and being an idiot. And these guys are why do they portray dads as buffoons?
I think they just kind of off in their own little land. I don't know.
Who's off in their land?
The dads.
The dads?
They're not really involved in their children's lives, so they're just doing their own thing. They're just beta males.
That's what it is, being beta?
I guess.
But why do we portray it like that?
The same reason they portray the moms is the way that they portray the moms, I think.
Like sharp and cutting henpeckers?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always the case, but it's always like this relationship between like even Barbie and Ken, where it's like Hey, I was thinking I could come over tonight. To do what? I don't know, because we're boyfriend, girlfriend. Well, it's girls' night. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I love Barbie movie because I thought it was making fun of both the patriarchy and the matriarchy, toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. And so it was hilarious, but obviously they had probably alternative ulterior motives. Thank you.
There you go.
But I didn't take it seriously at all. I don't think that they meant to make the toxic femininity a joke, but I took it as one because they were just poking jabs at each other. Like the part where Will Ferrell and all of them are having the board meeting and they were saying, what makes you a man? Or what were they saying to the weakest guy? I have no power. But does that make me a woman?
No, I think it's like I have no authority.
Oh, yeah.
Like, who's in charge here? And the guy was like, I have no authority. Does that make me a woman?
And they're like, no, you just can't parallel park. So they were making fun of women too. But I think in trying to,
Trying to make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
I think overall, for me, it was convenient to shut my brain off for 90 minutes or 120 minutes or whatever the runtime was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, I kind of just shut it off when Ryan Gosling wasn't on screen, as gay as that is. But, dude, he killed it. He killed it. And it was like anytime he was on anytime the plot went back to Ken, it was like there was some progression. It was mildly entertaining, funny even. But then when it went back to like the whole Barbie arcs, it was very like, this is so serious, guys, and we need to find the girl power, and like it was just so meta and into itself and took itself way too seriously.
Right.
But I mean, that's usually how the best comedy is anyways. Like if you have a comedy role and you play it like it's the role of a lifetime, hilarious. Like have you seen that one, coincidentally, it's literally me, Ryan Gosling, when he's talking about the Avatar, like the movie Avatar. He's talking about the font.
The papyrus?
The papyrus.
What does he say?
Dude, he's just like, it's papyrus, and he's like freaking out about it. And it's so funny because he's playing it like you know how the Notebook, he's like, what do you want? It's like that level of like, why is it papyrus?
That's hilarious. I didn't know he did that.
That's how he played Ken.
Yeah.
He's like,
he brought it.
Dude, he brought the Kenergy.
Mm-hmm. He did. He was hilarious. Only a confident man in his masculinity could have played that role.
Anyone else? Because, like, that's the other thing, too, is they tried as hard as they could to write it as homoerotic as possible. Like, all the Kens were so gay.
I didn't appreciate that part. I didn't think it was very funny at all.
Which part? That was the whole movie.
I meant, like, the beat you off part. Like, is that funny? I don't know.
The first time it was.
I mean, when I initially saw the trailer in that part, I'm like, oh, my gosh. This is going to be a hilarious movie. And then they showed him being a doctor with his clicky pen. I'm like,
that was funny.
This is so funny. And what's funny is that in the same way that feminists are taking the feminist side so seriously, males are taking the male side so seriously. And they're like, we are Ken. We identify with him. We stand for him. He is literally me.
I really want to believe that they were like, who can we cast as Ken and make the most memes with? Mm-hmm. Because like the whole like, so there, if you're unfamiliar, there is a whole meme trend genre, if you will, on the interweb of it's just Ryan Gosling. And it's kind of taking this evolution because like back in like 2010, it was Ryan Gosling being like, "Hey girl," which he's never said ever, but like, it was like the whole memes. Like, "Hey girl," like the "Hey girl" memes. Mm-hmm. Now it's like the literally me memes because you have like that Sigma Chad.
Yeah, just look up Patrick Bateman. I am Patrick Bateman, and you'll go down a rabbit hole for hours.
I drive.
By the end, you'll say literally me.
You're going to say things like, "I drive," and literally me. And what's the other thing that he always says? I don't know, but you get stuck. But Ryan Gosling has had these.
He also could have done it though. He would have been good too.
That would have been good. But Gosling, he has these character roles that are like these mysterious, enigmatic, like loner types that are kind of outcasts and put the big picture beyond themselves. So, for instance, in the movie Drive, right? He's that loner. He drives. I drive. Right? And then he's like, there's this girl there's this lady with a kid who lives across the hall from him, and he just stares at her, and he's like hopelessly in love with his random woman, and all he can say is, "I drive." And by the end of the movie, her baby daddy gets out of jail and gets in deep with some bad guys, and in order to protect this random lady who he just has this secret crush on, he gives up his entire life to go fight these gangsters with a hammer and a scorpion jacket. And the whole movie, he says like 15 lines, maybe.
That's awesome.
But it's spectacular. And it's like, I can never have what I want because, like, I'm the driver. I don't even have a name. Like, he's literally an unnamed. Like, his name's never mentioned once. Same thing with Blade Runner 2049, where he's a Blade Runner and he gets like kind of mixed up in this like big conspiracy, and he's like, maybe I'm him. Maybe I'm the chosen one. Maybe it's me. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll be the chosen one. And then they finds out like, oh, I'm not the chosen one. I'm literally just like a random guy. Like I'm literally a nobody. And he then chooses to like, you know what? I'm going to put the mission beyond myself. I'm going to be a nobody, and I'm going to give it up because I'm just a nobody. And my little AI, Ana de Armas AI hologram lady can be my baby, and that's it. And it's like, that's Ryan Gosling. And so now you have Ken, where he's like, the patriarchy. Like, I need to evolve myself for Barbie. Like, I'm going to do it. This loner Barbie, she doesn't want to have date night with me. It's girls' night, whatever.
Maybe she doesn't want me because I'm a beta male.
No, it's not beta. It's Sigma. It's the Sigma male.
I know. I'm saying he needs to change and become.
He did,
Sigma.
though.
I know, kind of. And usually it works.
And then she was like, hey, Ken, like, I still don't like you. That was tragic.
Yeah.
It was really tragic, for me at least.
Yeah.
Because I've been there before. Like in high school, I was there.
Right.
I'd be like, hey, girl, you want to go to the prom? And she'd be like, who are you? Why are you asking me?
You were also asking people that were crazy. And probably already had dates.
Well, they got dates when they had the choice of go with him or go with someone else. I was like, who else? Anyone else? Get someone else. You, random person. There you go. I was literally him.
Right.
So what were your biggest takeaways from the movie as you left the theater, as you've had time to stew and reflect on the performances of Barbie, the story of Barbie, the message behind the plastic, the fantastic plastic? What'd you come away with?
I think there were parallel messages happening. I think one of them was the whole, we need to not do the patriarchy, we need to not do the matriarchy, we just need to find ourselves kind of thing, which is whatever. I wish that they would have ended together and it would have been such a better movie. And hey, let's try treat each other as equals, like that would have been such a based, good message to provide to people that are so confused these days with, am I a victim because these feminists are telling me I'm a victim? Am I brainwashed, or am I just weird and ugly? So that was one message. And then the other message I felt like was geared a little bit more towards women, talking about the societal demands to be beautiful and how in the real world it's just not a thing. Like, you have cellulite, you eventually will get old and wrinkly, but you're beautiful the entire time. And I appreciated that message, and I think there was a portion of the audience that felt like Barbie was this unattainable goal, an ideal for what the perfect woman is. And so I felt like they were able to be seen, and mothers were seen kind of. They were also put down, so it was very confusing in that regard. And then we got no answers towards the whole what happens after we die thing. So it was just very entertaining. Yes. Was it educational? Not in the slightest. And if it was, that's bad.
If you found this movie educational, you are wrong.
Like, even the plot was hard to follow.
There was no plot to follow. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I think it just confused people even more. Like, what is my purpose? What was I made for? And I think it totally disrupted the message that religious people are trying to promote of man is nothing without woman and woman's nothing without man. And we're different, and we have different divine natures and destinies. And I feel like we're meant to do different things on this earth, and we're created differently, but we're also created for each other. Like Ken and Barbie were created for each other. And I don't think either one is an accessory at all. I think they're just equal partners working towards... Why are you making that face at me? Oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought after that. Guys.
Overall, I said it overall like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's anti-family. Like,
it's anti-family, which is totally like the antithesis to happiness. And so if anyone is taking this seriously, I think you should go in and see this movie and do the exact opposite of what it tells you.
Unless you're Ken.
Unless you're Ken, then of course find your passions and find who you are and find respect in every person that talks to you on the street.
If you have a nice watch and roll up on a horse, people are going to respect you and listen to you. That's just the way it is. That's a fact of life.
Mm-hmm.
Look, example A, Yellowstone. Dude, Rip Wheeler rolls up on that horse, and everyone pays attention. John Dutton rolls up on a horse. Dude, he's the man.
Beth Dutton also commands attention.
She didn't ride no horse, though.
No, but I'm just saying, like, the roles in there are very equal.
Like, if you were to take that case study, that's a polar opposite to Ken and Barbie.
Right.
Polar opposite. It's anti-family. It's hilariously and ironically pro-patriarchy. It's like, hey, dude, look how awesome this is. Like, you can't, like, go out and conquer.
Yeah.
Veni Vidi Vici. What up? Mojo Dojo Casa Houses. And it's like, if you watch that, you like, there's no way you're walking out and being like, patriarchy seemed kind of dumb. Like, no, it made sense. Everyone enjoyed it, and it was awesome. Awesome.
Well, I think also it highlighted that everyone just wants to be treated equally.
Yeah.
And that there's toxic versions of everything in masculinity and femininity, and people just need to be nicer to each other.
And in Barbie reviews, because you can only talk about a movie for so long before it gets to the point of Ben Shapiro saying, what if, hypothetically, I was a Barbie girl in a Barbie world?
There's the Barbie girl in an Oppenheimer world.
Oppenheimer was good.
Oppenheimer was so good.
If you understand, like, quantum physics, which I do.
And if you
At least I pretended to do.
If you keep your eyes up at Florence Pugh's eyes, then you're good too.
Is there any particular reason?
A lot of lady parts in that movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. No men parts, just lady parts.
You're telling me that Cillian Murphy doesn't hang dong?
You know, you would think after Peaky Blinders and this movie, I would at least have an idea. But no idea what he's got. Doesn't matter either.
It was the Ken, like, plastic. What do they call it in the movie? Like,
oh yeah,
plastic genital glob or whatever.
Yeah, glob of genitals or whatever.
Glob of plastic.
Very much not a kids movie. I would say that. Don't take your kids to see it.
Don't take your kids. Don't take your impressionable tweens or young teens.
Yeah, I think it was more so a nostalgic movie for older moms.
Dude, it's a crappy movie. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, if you are going for writing or plot or...
He really missed a great opportunity.
It was such a
Barbie has such a great landing.
It's
like,
so hard to mess it up, and they messed it up in every way.
Yeah.
Except for Ryan Gosling murdered it as Ken.
Yeah.
And the musical number, dude. I'm just Ken. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So go in there. If you're going to go watch it, go in there. Turn your brain off. Put your brain in the off position. Don't turn it off. Just put it on airplane mode. Put your brain on airplane mode. You're not totally off, but you can just, just kind of go sit in a cold theater, eat some popcorn, and watch Ryan Gosling get after it. And then Margot Robbie also be there. And then that's about it. That's about all you're getting out of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is...
Keep your expectations low, but I also loved it. So I kept my expectations low. That's the trick.
Have you ever seen the Muppets?
Yeah.
The two old heckler guys, and they're like, boo, boo, I hated it. That was terrible. Well, it wasn't that bad. I guess it was pretty good. I actually loved it. Bravo, encore.
Literally me.
That's you on the Barbie movie. You're like, oh yeah, I hated it. It was super anti-family and feminist and woke.
Cried. I liked the self-worth aspect of it. Like, that's everyone needs to hear that, whether you're a man or woman.
So this is one thing that's interesting, and we've talked about this before, and we'll try and end on this, where it's like little boys and little girls will play with Barbies and G.I. Joes, right? That's kind of like the split there. When girls play with Barbie dolls, Barbie becomes them. So like if a little girl's, and this is kind of portrayed in the movie, right? If a little girl's feeling like anxious and thinking about death and like weird and being Barbie becomes anxious. Barbie becomes depressed.
Well,
Barbie is...
That's why weird Barbie's a thing. It's girls are listening to their intrusive thoughts.
So girls project themselves onto Barbie. But when little boys play with G.I. Joe, they become G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe and them are the same. It's like, dude, I'm an action hero. Like when I play with the G.I. Joe, I'm the action hero. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally him. I'm going to use my kung fu grip to choke you out, throw grenades, jump out of planes, do G.I. Joe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mentality is like completely flipped. And I mean, it's just one of those aspects of the dichotomy between men and women. But I think that's an interesting feature where it's like when you watch the movie, women see, and like Helen Mirren literally makes a comment of it, like, Margot Robbie is not the best person to be portraying this thought of I'm not pretty enough. Like,
yeah, but in the same breath, the old lady, when they're sitting in the dining room table in the fake room, she talks about how you're enough as you are. And I love that side of the story.
But on the other hand, dudes watching that movie, they look at Ken, who is literally unattainable. He's a 42-year-old. Ryan Gosling's 42 years old at, like, I swear to you, 4% body fat.
42, no way.
He's 42, and he looks
so
that good. He looks that good. You don't look that good naturally.
He had to get Botox or something. That's crazy.
No, you get steroids. You get testosterone. You get HGH. You get a little bit of Tren. You get some Anavar. Like, you get that good stuff. Some Trenbolone sandwiches. Some Deca. Right? Some D-ball.
Just pick it up at your local Planned Parenthood.
And then you look, and then you start looking like Ken.
Yeah.
And so, guys, if you want to look like Ken, convince a woman in your life to go to Planned Parenthood and transition, and they'll give them free test, and then you can transition from a man into a larger man.
Mm-hmm. To just Ken to big Kenergy.
Big Kenergy. But when guys look at that, they don't see like, oh man, I'm never gonna be 4% body fat on steroids. That's crazy. Like that's so unrealistic. Yeah, it is. You know what that's gonna make me do?
Work out.
I'm gonna hit it harder. I'm gonna do a little Jocko one. Like I'm gonna say, good. Work out harder.
And
Wake up at 5.
Girls, to some extent, should do that too. But there's only so much you can do with genetics and skin color. Like I think they touched on that really well. Yeah. Oh, make everyone feel included. That's fine. That's nice.
Yeah.
I think fitness-wise, it's a great aspiration. I'm not advocating anorexia or anything like that, but it's just different when you're a girl.
I mean, I think that's kind of the whole point that we've been talking around this whole time is like how different. I mean, we watched the same movie and it was completely different for both of us. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the jokes were hilarious.
Hated the girl stuff, the whole body
hated it.
positivity stuff.
I don't get it for a second. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in good shape right now, and I just don't get it. I look at Ryan Gosling at 4%, and I'm like, I could do that. Why don't I? I'm gonna do that.
Well, I
like
think
it
for
doesn't.
guys,
It doesn't calculate for a second. Like I can never. I can't compete.
For guys, it sort of is not necessarily unattainable. Like I think it's attainable to a point. Like you can become super ripped and become lower body fat. But for women, it's different because we have babies and hormones.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't try to be healthy, and you definitely should. And I'm also not saying don't not try and become Lizzo. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, I mean, give yourself a little compassion and realize that we're not all Barbies, or not all Margot Robbies, I should say, who trained super hard to be our Barbie. I was looking at her, what she eats in a day. To be a trainer, she eats a little bit of oatmeal, chicken salad, some fish for dinner. She does this massive hard workout. Like, dang, girl, you deserve to live that way. I'm just saying. And you know what? Maybe I'll try that diet. And maybe it'll work for me too. That's an aspiration.
But none of it's worth destroying your true femininity over and like what actually matters when it comes to your family and your divine purpose. Like William Eyelash singing about what was I made for. It's like,
I think I really understood, I hate the phrase self-love, but I really understood unconditional love when I had my baby Ivy, our baby Ivy. Because looking at her, I see absolutely nothing wrong with her, and I love her exactly how she is. And I would hate for her to grow up one day and hate the way her body looks or want plastic surgery or anything like that, because she is absolutely perfect in my eyes. And I think that if we all saw ourselves that way and made more for just being pretty, I think we'd be a lot happier if we gave ourselves some grace for being a mom and realizing that you literally have a baby in your belly for 9 months, and there might be stretch marks, there might be cellulite, but you're still beautiful and your body's amazing because of what it's capable of. And there's more life than your body. You're more interesting than what your body looks like.
And all of that transcends Barbie. Like,
and I don't think Barbie even thought anything about
No.
her body the entire time she was in Barbie Land, like the beginning. Like, she didn't really think, oh, I need to be prettier than other Barbies, and I need to be skinnier than other Barbies, and I need to be better than other Barbies. Like, I think feminists are just making themselves out to be a victim and saying, oh, she's sexualized, and she's not saying that when she goes to the real world she doesn't get hit on, but she didn't have to view it as a violent attack on her, you know? I think that just goes to show how sexualized society has become with pornography and all of that. Guys shouldn't act that way to other girls when they see her, but that's just the way the world has become.
well, it's just feminists hate themselves and they hate other women and really anybody that's going to keep them accountable or...
I know. For a feminist movie, think of how much hate Margot Robbie got
Yeah.
for looking the way she is, and how much hate Barbie got throughout the entire movie just because she's pretty and thin. Like, how is this uplifting other women when we're tearing down the one woman that's the main character? I don't get it.
Whereas Ken just shows up and he's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm just Ken. And then everyone's like,
So, like, you are enough the way you are.
you are enough and you're great at doing stuff.
Yeah.
So, hey, world, check me out. I'm just Ken.
Yeah. It's just wild. Men and women are different. And I think women are just the meanest to women.
It's true, because guys really don't care. Guys don't like we were talking about this morning with like that.
Yeah.
How what dress size
So
is
there's this
fat?
thing on Instagram. I think it was originally on TikTok, where they were looking at Kelly Clarkson, Jessica Simpson, and who else was it, babe?
I couldn't tell you.
Someone. Rihanna?
No.
Beyonce. It was Beyonce. In 2008, 2010 era, they were like a size 8, 10 maybe. And it was talking about how, probably 10 or 12, because the whole point of the post was saying, remember when you were only skinny if you were a single digit pant size, and now look at the world, like, we don't even say the word FAT around Lizzo. Like, that's not even a thing. But they looked so good, and they were like size 8s. I like size 10s. I'm like, what are we?
It's all clown world. None of it makes
Yeah.
sense. None of it's real. All that stuff with like women's sizes and stuff too. Like that.
Yeah.
That's so like if women actually understood what men found attractive, their self-esteem and their confidence would be it'd be unfathomable. It'd go to space. It'd be like Dogecoin last in 2020.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think they don't necessarily even want the skinniest girl. They want, a lot of men like girls with curves and who have enough weight on them to look like they can bear their children. Like, it's so physiological the way that they're attracted. It's not
like
even
it's
a
a
preference.
instinctive,
Yeah.
reproductive need. Like, who's gonna bear my seed? Who's gonna?
Which is why men need women and women need men. And so the Barbie movie was just silly the way it ended. It could have ended so much better.
They really missed the mark. If you are listening to this and you are part of the Barbie crew, hit us up. Maybe you have some insights that we don't. But McKenna, thank you for sharing your insights about the Barbie movie with our fabulous listeners of the Fear Not Do Right podcast. If you want to go check out the movie, do it. Turn your brain off. Go see it. They've already hit $1 billion, so
I liked it. You should just go see it because it's a culture phenomenon right now. Cultural phenomenon.
It is definitely that.
Go see it with all these teenager girls that are talking throughout the entire movie and shouting at the screen and laughing out so loud.
But don't
It's
be one of those
amazing.
people. Don't get all like if you're like if you're one of these, I don't know, like a conservative Karen, don't get all jaded about it. Like, just don't.
Don't take it so seriously.
Don't take it so
That's
seriously.
my only
Don't take
advice.
yourself so seriously.
Take it for what it is.
Just go have a good time.
Yeah.
Overall,
don't take your kids.
Don't take your kids.
Anyone under the age of 18 probably shouldn't see it.
It's
13, 16.
You'll have a good time, but it is a societal skid mark. So
It's propaganda, but who cares?
it's like drinking and driving. You know, is it good for anybody? No. But is it a fun ride? I've heard so.
No. That's not good.
That's what all the memes tell me.
Right.
Well, thank you guys for listening. If you want to support the show, you can go and check us out at Fear Not Do Right on social media.
Go buy your shirts.
FNDR USA on Twitter, or X, if you will. We're going to try and get this podcast up on there, too. And, yeah, we just launched a whole bunch of new merch. It's available online on the store right now. So go get you some, because that kind of is what helps make this podcast happen. Thank you guys for listening, and until next time, fear not and do right.